All right, y'all, we've done a lot of talk this week about Sunday's big game, and we focused a lot on the quarterbacks, on the offensive weapons. I want to look at the other side of the ball. Tyrann Mathieu, Chris Jones, Frank Clark, Dominican Sue, JPP, Shaq Barrett. So much talent. Dan Orlovsky joining us now from Tampa. Dan, thank you so much for being with us. But, Stephen A., I'm going to start with you here. Who do you think has the tougher matchup on the defensive side?
Well, to me, on the defensive side. What do you mean on the defensive side? It would be.
I mean, which quarterback is going up against the tougher defense?
I'm going to have to sit up there and say Tom Brady. You know why? Because Tom Brady's a stationary target. It's not to say that Tampa Bay's defense is worse than Kansas City's. I'm not trying to imply that. But I think with Patrick Mahomes, his pocket presence, his ability to fling the football, the talent that he has at his disposal available to him, his mobility, I think all of that makes it less tougher for him to go up against Tampa's defense than it's going to be for Brady to go up against Kansas City's defense. Kansas City's defense with the Honey Badger in the secondary, with them brothers that can get Chris Jones and those others that can get to the quarterback, along with Tom Brady being a stationary target, I think makes the road to prosperity in a game of this magnitude far more difficult for Tom Brady than it would be for Patrick Mahomes.
I think Patrick Mahomes is clearly facing the better defense here. First of all, the Chiefs are no good in the red zone. You think that might be a problem against the Tom Brady team with elite offensive line play and weapons everywhere you look? Yeah, I think so. But also, what's like football, the more it changes, some things stay the same. It's still very much about the line of scrimmage. The Bucs offensive line, which was supposed to be improved, but not elite this year, played elite this year. Top 5 offensive line, I would say, Dan, you correct me if I'm wrong, seems to me a top 5-ish offensive line in the game. They can protect Tom Brady. They can block for the run. They can do a whole lot. But what about the Chiefs' offensive line? Chiefs' offensive line is in tatters. Andy Reid, I keep saying, has all 5 guys playing at all 5 positions on the line throughout practice this week because he's going to need it. Both Pro Bowl caliber offensive tackles are out. So you have Mahomes with a weakened offensive line facing a front 4 that Vita Vea came back, supposed to be out for the season, and Dominican Sue, that's who's in the middle. Shaquille Barrett and JPP are coming after you off the edges. I mean, they maybe have the best linebacker tandem in football behind those guys, and their secondary, their corners have been playing great throughout the playoffs. All 3 levels of the defense in Tampa have been playing lights out, not just covering guys, and they should be getting even a better push in the middle now, not just really being able to get pressure with 4, you'd think, against depleted offensive line with those pass rushers. But they all create turnovers on all 3 levels of the defense. That's what Patrick Mahomes is going up against. The Chiefs are not in the Super Bowl because of their defense. Tom Brady is not facing the kind of defensive challenge that Patrick Mahomes is.
Good to be with you guys. It's awesome that you guys both wore the same suit on Friday before the Super Bowl as well. Congratulations on that.
Nice that you changed your tie right before the segment.
You are right. You are right that Tampa's offensive line has been a top 5 unit, but Patrick Mahomes is dealing with the greater challenge when it comes to the defensive unit this weekend. All right, first of all, no team has ever won the Super Bowl with backup tackles. Kansas City has to play with both backup tackles. So he's going to have to do something against a defense that's never been done. Number 2, Tampa Bay, and I look at this a little bit more like the challenge for Patrick in a big picture. Tampa's the 4th team in the last 15 years to go into the playoffs with the top 5 offense and a top 5 defense. Okay, the 3 previous teams that have done that, 2 out of the 3 went to go win the Super Bowl. The only team that didn't was Russell Wilson's rookie year in Seattle. So this is like, that is another kind of dot on the challenge of Patrick Mahomes trying to do something that really hasn't been done before. And then, Max, you touched on it. 41 points for Tampa this year have been scored offensively off of turnovers. So you're looking at an offensive line that's been battered with multiple starters that are going to have to go out against the top 5 defense. Both tackles, which are huge when you're playing against any pass rush, let alone a guy like JPP or guys like JPP and Shaq Barrett. You're also talking about a defensive coordinator in Todd Bowles that's fantastic, that in one half of football, when they played 6 weeks ago, had a really poor plan, and then at halftime made a switch and played things differently and very much so like stymied Kansas City's offense. I've said this week. Patrick Mahomes, for Kansas City to win this game, Patrick Mahomes will have to play the greatest game he's ever played. And I know that's heavy words. The quarterback that's been the best football player in the league for the last 3 years and has had incredible performances, he's going to have his best because of all the things that are stacked against him for them to win the Super Bowl.
Right.
So this is what my question is to both you and Max. I never once said that Tampa Bay's defense was inferior to Kansas City's. I acknowledge that Kansas City, that the Tampa Bay has the superior defense. What I said is that it's a greater challenge. Even though Tampa Bay has a superior defense, it's still a greater challenge at the hands of Tom Brady because from a skill position, meaning athleticism, mobility, etc., you've got a bigger challenge going up against Kansas City. Now, I could be wrong, but I don't believe I'm off kilter, Dan, by saying that. If you're a stationary target, you got to get the ball get the ball out of your hands inside of 2 seconds, which we know Tom Brady can do better than most. But I'm talking about your physical, athletic limitations going up against a defense like Kansas City. Even though Tampa's is better, does that not pose a significant problem potentially for Tom Brady?
No, you're right, Stephen A. Like, there is a challenge. You know, we haven't talked about enough nationally how good Kansas City's defense is. I'm not saying that one side is a cakewalk and one side is going to be this dominant challenge. They're both going to be challenges. And Tom Brady's going to have his hands full with the blitz package out of Kansas City and those guys that can play really good coverage on the perimeter and how daring they're going to be with coming after them. But the challenge for Patrick, I mean, he's playing with backup offensive linemen in 3 out of 5 spots. I mean, literally, because I come on here and a lot of people say I make excuses for quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes, you should win 0 of these games as a quarterback. When you're talking about going against the top 5 defense,
well, I'm trying to tell people, Dan,
on one, a really good front 4 and blitz package, but with multiple offensive line. We've seen this story before. We've seen quarterbacks go into games, regular season more often than not, with backup offensive linemen, and they don't win, and we point to that being a huge issue. This is Super Bowl. Like, this is win or you don't get, like, there is no next week. And we're like, this is a huge challenge for Patrick Mahomes to try to figure out a way to minimize that impact of that really good defense, whether he has his starting offensive line or not, and we know he doesn't. So the challenge is huge for Patrick.
Your best offensive linemen are frequently on the ends, right, are your tackles, but in this case, they're actually also, for their positions, the best on the Chiefs. They are Pro Bowl caliber.
Right.
Mitch Schwartz was a Pro Football Focus, put him all second team, all NFL second team for the decade. And Fisher is a #1 overall draft pick who's been to multiple Pro Bowls. Those are the guys that are missing. And from Tom Brady, and by the way, because Vita Vea is back with Ndamukong Suh, they're going to get a push in the middle. There won't be a pocket. You got Barrett coming off the end with JPP. Mahomes, you're right, is going to have the best game of his career, which has so far been the best career ever to start in the first 3 seasons. Now, to Stephen A., your point about Tom Brady's lack of mobility, but I might rather be a less mobile quarterback behind a great offensive line than a more mobile quarterback behind one that's riddled with injuries where your best players aren't there. Brady has a lot of time to throw the ball. And when we think of Brady as clutch, when Molly gets that feeling about Tom Brady, like, I'd just rather have Brady, what are we really thinking about? We're thinking about third down. Those are the quarterbacks you go, I trust him on third down. Whatever you want to say about Brady, he's a great, maybe the best ever third down quarterback. So even when the Kansas City has some success, he has so many options on the field. We're not really focusing on Antonio Brown in this Super Bowl because he has 3 other dangerous weapons just at the receiver position, not to mention Gronk and tight ends. Like,
that's not true.
The point is, Tom Brady's defensive assignment here, his assignment against the defense, is considerably easier than Patrick Mahomes.
Well, it's not easy for a couple of reasons.
It's an all-time pickle against this defense right now.
It's not easy for a couple of reasons. Number one, Antonio Brown, the reason why we haven't been talking about him much because we didn't know definitively whether or not he was going to play because obviously he had not been healthy and he's just coming back, number one. Number two, we can't ignore the fact that Chris Godwin has been dropping passes. Number 3, when we think about Tom Brady, it's not only his objective to score. I got news for you, Max. He's got another challenge on his hands. Guess what? How about keeping the ball away? Because guess what? You can score too quickly. That could be damaging to you. You can sit up there. Those kind of things. He has to engage in ball control. You want to keep the ball away from Patrick Mahomes because that's how lethal this Kansas City offense is. That's what you're anticipating they're going to put up, going up against your squad. And Tom Brady's got to, it's not just about scoring. It's about moving the chains. It's about chewing up the clock.
But that's
it's about keeping the ball out of the hands.
That's why being big on third down,
and I think that's a big deal.
I don't disagree with that analysis. And Dan, again, you can please weigh in. But this is another thing. Arians runs the ball a lot on early downs, which is not always a great idea if it puts you in a bad situation, right? You're going third and long. But when you have maybe the best ever on third down, you can do that. And, in fact, that will do exactly what you say, Stephen A. Time of possession can go to the Bucs.
But you're picking Kansas City.
Okay, so I'll
only
touch on a
because I
couple
believe
things there.
that what Dan says is right and Mahomes will do it.
Yeah, Stephen A. is exactly right. Time of possession does matter. But you have to own time of possession and also score touchdowns against Patrick. There's no point in winning time of possession and kicking field goals. So that does matter. Number two, I get it with the first down runs in Tampa's offense. But when Kansas City's going to play that dime defense, leaving only one linebacker on the field on first down, you should run the ball against that, okay? So, that should be into your benefit. I would say this, to put it simply. I can envision going on television Monday morning like we all will do and Tampa Bay winning and me going, Tom Brady played good football, okay? I can't envision Kansas City winning and me going, Patrick Mahomes played good football. Kansas City can't win if Patrick plays good. Tampa Bay can win if Tom plays good. For Kansas City to win, Patrick is going to have to be special. Again, you're talking about a quarterback that has to play against the top 5 defense that has generated multiple turnovers to lead to 41 points in just the playoffs, 101 for the season, with at least 3 starters out on his offensive line.
That ranks 21st against the pass.
But that is insurmountable to have to deal with. That is such a pressure-packed situation that Patrick Mahomes has to walk into. This is that fine line.
Can I throw this out for you, Dan?
Line between Mahomes going,
let me throw this out.
I have to be Superman, but he has to be Superman.
This is what I think you and Max are missing. If this were last year, your points would be even more valid because it's their first trip to the big dance. And instead of Jimmy Garoppolo on the other team with a 10-point lead, you're talking about Tom Brady. They lose that Super Bowl if Tom Brady's your quarterback, in my estimation. Now that you've got that year under your belt, and Patrick Mahomes went 3.5 quarters looking very un-Patrick Mahomes-like, looking very normal and, dare I say, average, if not less than average, for 3.5 quarters when they only registered 10 points, and they were down 10 points, 20-10. I think now that you're coming off that, and you have that experience under your belt, whatever jitters, whatever butterflies, whatever you want to throw into the equation, I think goes out the window and I think works to the benefit of Kansas City.
Yeah, what you're talking about, Stephen A., is what I've been saying all week. And, Dan, this is what I think it comes down to. Dan, I think your analysis is spot on, as it often is. But the Chiefs are actually favored. And I think people understand what you're talking about. The Chiefs are favored. And the only reason for that is people don't even realize how good they think Patrick Mahomes is. They're expecting him to be Michael Jordan in this game.
Yeah, I totally agree. Listen, at the end of the day, the reality is that Patrick Mahomes is going to have a historical performance. And Stephen A., my only rebuttal to you would be this. If you sit there and think that he loses that game last year, I want to know why. I have never seen Patrick Mahomes fail on the big moment in the NFL. I haven't seen it. It'll happen at some point.
You said you want to know why. Do I get to answer you?
Tom Brady hits Emmanuel Sanders.
You said you want to know why. Do I get to answer you? Because Tom Brady would have been up 10, and I believe he would have found a way to score a couple of more points, not go scoreless the rest of the way while Patrick Mahomes is on the run. I'm not saying that Patrick Mahomes would not have put up points in the fourth quarter. I'm saying Tom Brady would have found a way to do so himself.
Stephen A., this goes to your Warriors point. When I talk about what happened with the Warriors and the Rockets, you said if the Rockets would have started hitting shots, the Warriors would have responded. That's That's what people feel about Mahomes. You start changing history. Well, what if he would have scored? Mahomes would have scored
But once
more.
again, you don't get to make that argument because you're the one that threw that argument out the window.
I'm using your argument
No.
against me.
I'm saying you're using the argument to support your position about Mahomes, but when I said it about Kevin Durant and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, you ignored it.
No. In fact,
that make any
you're
sense?
doing
Y'all got
that.
the same
I'm
suit
responding to your argument just
How am I
now.
doing that? You're the one that brought it up.
I didn't say
You brought it up.
I didn't say that if
Remember,
Brady,
analyze this,
I didn't
analyze
say
that. Y'all remember that? Analyze this,
Yeah, of
analyze
course.
that. You brought it up.
Right,
What are you
Dan?
doing?
I'm
What are
with
you
you.
doing? What are you talking about? You brought it up. Hey,
All right.
ooh.
All right.
Yeah.
Move along.
I'm doing Billy
Only
Crystal
the
right
Lord
now.
can
You brought
save
it
them,
up.
Dan, you're right.
It's a good movie.
Great
Oh
movie.
my goodness. Can you settle down, children? Can we settle down and move on to a new debate
Stephen
here?
A.
Somebody
Stephen A.
mentioned